I can't undercut the sanctity of this game, Tim. What are you asking me to do right now? Okay, we are back with another blind raking. Tim, this has gone pretty well so far from my perspective. You've grilled me on a few, but I think this has provided some insight. We kind of tend to expound upon these, so we give top 5, and Tim has to order them without knowing what's coming next. So this round, we are going to go with cash flow killers. Cash flow killers.
I like this one.
What eats away at your rental profits just a little bit, and what really can kill sort of an investment? So we will start with deferred maintenance as a cash flow killer.
Yeah, so deferred maintenance, one, costs money, and typically costs more than maintaining the property in real time.
When we're talking about deferred maintenance, what are we typically talking about?
Deferred maintenance is maintenance that should have been done that was not done. Instead of painting the siding of the building and making sure that it was either sealed or caulked or whatever, now it didn't happen for 3 years in a row, and now the wood's all rotted, right? Where it would have been way cheaper to just paint it and make sure it was caulked properly. And now we're 3 years down the road,
right,
and now you got to rip off the entire siding, all the trim boards, and do the painting, and do like the caulking, and do all of that again on top of it. So deferred maintenance, because of that, is more expensive than just regular maintenance. So it is definitely a cash flow killer. And but even more so, it leaves negative sentiment with the tenants and insurance and the lender and everybody else. So. 1 being the number 1 cash flow killer, 5 being the worst or the least amount of cash flow killer. Yeah. I would say deferred maintenance is pretty up there. I'd say it's probably number 2.
2 for deferred maintenance. What are some typical? You gave the example of the exterior. What are some deferred maintenance that maybe people don't think about or think I can defer that? What are some things that pop up where you're like, gosh, that person really needs to be on top of that?
I mean, the big ticket ones are mechanicals and roof. And so if you're not maintaining the mechanicals, not going in there, changing out your filters and having the HVAC units all maintained. There's statistics that maintaining your HVAC unit and your water heater and just having that stuff reviewed on an annual basis will extend the life by at least 50%. It's much better to go in and have it maintained and make sure the fluid levels are all proper and there's nothing blocking it and everything's clean and there's no corrosion or anything like that on these mechanical systems, and spend $150 a year, right, doing that. Or if you got a bunch of them, you could probably push that number down, $50 per unit, and they're going around, they check all of them in a single day. And you do that, and it saves you from having to spend $3,000 to $5,000 or more on a new furnace. Like, it's a good investment, right? For at least 5 years or whatever that is. So I think that's a big deal. I know what the number 1 cash flow killer is, and so I'm saving that for number 1. But I do think this is, 99% of landlord-tenant problems can be eliminated if you screen your tenants and you take care of the property. And not taking care of the property, deferred maintenance is part of that, and it's a massive, massive issue. So I'm going to say that's number 2.
Okay, we're going to sort of piggyback on deferred maintenance with capital expenditures. That's the next one. When you do have to actually go and replace a roof or an HVAC system.
I mean, but you're planning for that. A capital improvement is something you should be planning for, and your lender typically requires you to escrow money every single month, $100, $200 per unit per year, that goes into an account for stuff like that. So that way you can go and replace the roof, or you have a major capital improvement that needs to be done. And so if you're planning for it, it's not really a cash flow.
Yeah, this from ChatGPT says unexpected, but you're saying this you can't buy rental property without expecting to have to do that.
Yeah. Unexpected capital improvements, that's not the capital improvements fault. That's bad forecasting, bad asset management, bad property management. I'm not going to say, I'm going to blame that on something else. I'm going to put capital improvements 5.
Okay, because it should be under the scope of what you're expecting to do.
Yep.
Okay. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the big boy. Long vacancies is the next one.
Do you have bad property management in there?
Well, I can't tell you that. I can't
I'm-
undercut the sanctity of this game, Tim. What are you asking me to do right
Here's
now?
the limitation. The limitation is this is bad management, right? A long vacancy is just bad property management. And bad property management would be 100% my number one. But there's a lot of things that fall into bad property management, including deferred maintenance, including large
Capital.
vacancy, including
CapEx, yeah.
not responding quick enough. So I mean, vacancy is typically your largest expense. Now it's an opportunity cost, more so than an actual cost of property. But the opportunity cost is very real. I'll give you an example. We have some townhomes that we have water where there's a little bit of flooding at the front and back doors. It's like flat as a pancake, and we have some water issues. So anyways, we've got 12 units that cannot be occupied right now, brand new units. And of these 12 units, they rent for north of it's $1,600 to $1,700 a month. Mm-hmm. So you start doing the math on that, that's $20,000 a month in rents. We've had a contractor lined up to install the gutters and the downspouts and make sure that it pushes the water away, and maybe and they're going to do some other stuff where they put some French drains in the backyard and all this other stuff. And so we've given this guy a deposit, gave him the green light 2 months ago in order to then go through and have this stuff installed. So that way we can then clean it all up, touch up the paint, and they're move-in ready right away. He said it would take 1 week. It's now been 2 months later, and we have 2 months of $20,000 in rents that we haven't been able to collect. So that's $40,000 of lost revenue that we should be collecting, that we aren't collecting because of turnover and units sitting. So it's like, that just puts things in perspective. It's not actual money I've had to spend on that $40,000, but it's lost opportunity, right? If this cost me $60,000 in order to make these improvements, but he was able to do it the first week, and I was able to generate an extra $40,000 in rent. It's almost like it offsets it,
Right.
It cost me $20,000 to make these additional improvements to the property. But now, it's cost me $100,000 instead of that, right? So, or you could say it cost me $60,000, right? And now it's costing me $100,000. I guess that's probably a better way of looking at it.
So you obviously the property management is
This is number 3.
more responsible for vacancy, but it can also be a contractor.
Well, they're responsible for vacancy because units renovations aren't being done quick enough, and they're not kicking the contractor in the ass in order to get the renovations or the maintenance team to turn these units and get them online faster. And it's bad management from not pre-marketing, not pre-leasing, not lining up a tenant to move in as soon as there is a vacancy. I'll put it in number 3.
I'm willing to concede that you are not going to see property management on the list.
Okay, then I'd put it number 1.
Okay. Because it seems like a lot of these are property
Vacancy
management
is
has
the number 1 expense.
But property management, as you mentioned, has its reach with the 3 that we've mentioned so
Many
far.
of these are controllable by the property management company.
Okay, so number 1 would be long vacancies, and what, number 3 or number 2 is deferred maintenance, and then CapEx
Feel good about
is
all
number
those so
5.
far.
Okay, so we are looking for, it seems like we're always
3 and
looking
4.
for the middle when we get to these final 2. Bad debt write-offs is the next one.
Here's the thing, goes back to management. If you're screening your tenants, then they're paying your rent, right? Or they're paying their rent. If you're not screening your tenants, you're not managing properly, you're not taking care of maintenance in real time, tenants get pissed, they either don't pay their rent or they want to move out, and then you have bad debt that you're not going to be able to ever collect. So it goes back to a controllable inside of the property management company. Like, our expectation is to have 90% of rents collected by the 5th of the month. And so if 90%, there's
Across all properties, regardless of where it is, what it is, that's
at
the
any given
expectation.
property, that would be the expectation. And usually there's stragglers. Usually we can get 95%, 97%, and then some other properties are a little bit lower. Right? We're at the 20th of the month in September, and there's still over 20% outstanding rents at one of our properties. That's managed by third-party property management. And so, like, dude, I come in, I flip the friggin' table. What are we doing here? Why are we not collecting rent? Why are we not knocking on doors with a friggin' credit card processor saying, give me your credit card and let's pay some friggin' rent? Like, what are we doing? There's nothing that's more of a revenue-generating activity than collecting rents. Like, that is directly a revenue-generating activity. So, like, how are we not doing that? But it's not across all units, right? Usually it's 10 to 20% of the units that you're chasing for rent. And because of that, I wouldn't rank it as high as some of these other ones that we've talked about that can really eat into it. And usually most of those get paid, right? So usually bad debt's 3% or something of potential rent collections throughout the year. Because it's a smaller amount, I would put it at, but it's easily controllable, man. That's the issue.
For the most part, I mean, it sounds like
it should be.
You've got a headache right now.
Let's call it number 3.
Okay. So this last one would be?
Number 4.
Number 4. I'll be interested to see if you won't switch these around. Not that you'll be given the opportunity to.
But of course I can. House rules.
Insurance premium hikes.
Yeah, the thing with insurance, though, is it's kind of like outside your control. Right? Everything, the first 3 are within control, which upset me the most because that's something that we shouldn't have issues with. This one is it's an industry kicking the nuts, yeah.
But it's a cash flow killer.
It can definitely kill cash flow. And it kills enterprise value as well, just as much as the other ones do, though. And there are things that you can do to control insurance a little bit. I'll give you an example. On my home, I'm on the beach, and I could have flood insurance. Flood insurance isn't very good. It's not great coverage. It doesn't really protect any of the things that I would want to protect, and it's expensive. And I'm like, why am I spending $8,000 a year on flood insurance? My lender doesn't require it. It doesn't take care of the pool or the pool equipment. It doesn't take care of the garage or anything in the garage. It doesn't take care of the storage area underneath my house. It doesn't do any of that. And it caps at $250,000 in damage. And I'm paying $8,000 a year for this flood insurance. And and the deductible's still, I don't even know, $10,000, $20,000, whatever it was. I'm like, what are we doing here? So I got rid of it, and instead of spending $8,000 a year for the past couple of years, I've just improved my property, right? I have sandbags now that I can put around the basement storage area in case flooding comes in. It didn't cover the pool anyway, so it's not like I could do anything there. I've built storage and brought things up off the ground to mitigate any sort of rain damage that we might have. And so I would much rather put those dollars that would go to insurance into improving the property, which then increases the property value, right, as opposed to just light that money on fire, never see it again, and not improve the property value.
And I've heard you mention also doing that, going to insurance companies and saying, hey, how can we get this reduced? I think electrical, certain things.
We did that on a 36-unit building. They increased our premium by like $20,000 a year because we had these old breakers that have been known in the industry to catch fire or not work or whatever. And so they said, hey, your premium's going up by $20,000. We said, what? So we went and got a quote from an electrician. He was able to replace everything for $18,000. And it reduced so now we improved the building for $20,000. And it eliminated $20,000 of annual expense, which then increases the enterprise value of that property by $300,000.
Yeah, and if you were to go to sell it or to do something with it, then that would probably need to be taken care of anyway.
Probably, right? Okay. It would definitely be a hurdle to a sale when somebody's doing their inspections and all that kind of stuff, or we wouldn't be able to get the price point that we would want because of it. That being said, there's also things like we have a master insurance policy now on our portfolio and for our legacy family members, and it'll be available in Smart Management too, where people can come onto our master policy, and because of the scale of our portfolio and the amount of units in our portfolio, we could probably save somebody somewhere between 20 to 30% on their insurance. So if their insurance doubled, but then I can save you 30% on it, I'm able to, cut that back pretty considerably. You're still paying a little bit more than you did a few years ago, but that's just kind of an industry thing. The other thing that I would say is look at the property and try to see where you can improve the property. Where's the risk in your insurance policy for your insurance company, and ask them what can you do in order to reduce that risk and lower that premium. And then you can improve the property, lower your policy, and link arms with somebody like us and jump onto our master insurance policy. So if anybody's interested in that, just shoot me a DM on either Instagram or Facebook, or put a message in the comments here on YouTube, and we can get you some details on that whenever it's available.
And that's 4. So that's 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So to
Not changing it.
Cash flow killers. It's hard to believe. Cash flow killers. Number 1 would be long vacancies. Number 2 is deferred maintenance. Number 3, bad debt write-offs. Number 4, insurance premium hikes. And number 5 is unexpected capital expenditures. Cool with it.
Yeah, I mean, I could switch 3 and 4 potentially.
But you're not.
But I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'm not gonna, because I don't want to ruin my streak.
And a lot of this is under the scope of property management.
And because number 3 is a controllable, right? And that could be a huge cash flow killer. And it makes me mad. Like, you know what I'm not upset about? Like when I was playing sports, I wouldn't get upset about physical errors. Physical errors happen. Mental errors should not happen. And property management is a mental error that happens over and over and over again, that people just, it's become industry standard that people just accept it. And it should not be acceptable. And something needs to stop, which is why we started smart management, and why I'm so adamant about taking control and taking 100% ownership over your operations.
Okay, mental errors and property management seem to link arms, which is why smart management is such a big project of yours and something you're so passionate about.
We have a wait list of almost 100,000 doors that are clamoring to get onto our software. People they realize there's so many issues with controllable things that are not being taken care of on the property management side. And so it'll equip landlords to bring management in-house and not have all the headaches and risk and issues with bringing management in-house. And it'll also empower good management companies to be even better at their job. And they're going to take tremendous amounts of market share because of this software, because it's way better than what any of their competition's using. So it's going to do incredible things for the industry, and I'm excited for what that value brings.
Okay. Cash flow killers, we just wrapped it up. If there's something that Tim missed or wasn't on the list that you were watching and screaming, oh, why didn't they get to this? Why didn't they mention that? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. We'll address that later if you've got something that we need to talk about on the Legacy Wealth YouTube channel. Another blind ranking in the books. Tim gets 1 through 5 and doesn't change at all. I don't know if this is a stubborn thing or if he's nailing them. But it's
nailed, baby.
It's pretty impressive. That's it for this week. We'll see you sometime down the road. Until then,
be your best.